Hello friends, welcome back to this class again, and we are talking about human resources, and in this class we shall see about the population change. The other class we saw which are the factors that are affecting the distribution of population. People like to choose the best place for them to live, which are more comfortable, which are providing more facilities, which are providing more job opportunities and so on. So let's see how the population is changing, or what are the factors that are changing the population. You can take page number 69. So the population change refers to change in the number of people during a specific time. You can underline. What do you understand by population change? It is the change on the number of people living during a specific time. The world population has not been stable. It has increased manifold as seen in figure 6.3. And why? This is actually due to the change in the number of births and deaths. For an extremely long period of human history, until 1800s, the world's population grew steadily but slowly. So we can see the population. It's a big ladder. So the down part year is given. So in the year 500 BC, the population was only 100 million. Then AD, it became 170 million. Then in the year 1000, it became 265 million. Then in the year 1500, it became 425 million. Then in the year 1800, it became 900 million. Then in the year 1900, it became 1625 million. Then in the year 1950, it became 2500 million. Then in the year 1974, it became 400 million. Then in the year 1999, it became 6,000 million. Then in the year 2025, it will become 8,528 million. So population is steadily increasing. Earlier there was increase was there, but not too steep. But now you see it has become steeper and steeper. It is growing higher and higher. The growth rate is very high. So how do we make the growth rate higher or low? It depends on the death and the birth of the people. How many people are dying in a year? How many people are born in a year? Accordingly, if the death rate is low and the birth rate is high, then the population will increase very fast. If the death rate is higher and birth rate is low, then the population will come down. And if the death rate and the birth rates are equal, then the population will remain same, will not increase. Let's see again. So large numbers of babies were born, but they died early too. This was there were no proper health facilities, sufficient food was not available for all the people. So in 1800s, so many children were born, but they were dying very fast. After 1 year, 2 years, and so they were dying. What is the reason? Because of poor health facilities, the children got sick and they died. There was no hospital for treatment and so on. Then also there was not enough food for the people. The people were very poor, and so they could not provide good nutritious food for the children, and therefore they died. And as a result, the total increase in population was very low. So because of that, we see population was not increasing because death rate was very high. Then in 1804, the world's population reached 1 billion. So in the year 1804, the population of the world reached how many billion? 1 billion. 155 years later, in 1959, the world's population reached 3 billion. So 155 years the population became from 1 billion, it became 3 billion. That means after every 50 years 1 billion is increasing. So for the world to reach 1 million or 1 billion, it took 1804 years. But afterwards, to get 1 billion, it was required only just 50 years. You can see, you can imagine how fast the population was growing. Then this is often called population explosion. So that sudden increase in the number of people, that is called population explosion. And in 1999, 40 years later, the population doubled to 6 million. So it was 3 million. 150 years time, it reached 3 billion. Then next 40 years time, it became 6 million. So that was really an explosion. So what it took 150 years to reach 3 billion, within 40 years it became double, it became 6 billion. And the main reason for this growth was that there were better food supplies and medicine, and deaths were reducing while the number of births still remained very high. So why this sudden increase in the population? Is because of the change in the facilities. So earlier we said lot of children were dying because lack of medicine, lack of food, and so that's why population was not growing high. But now the situation is increased better. The hospitals are there, the education facilities are there, good and nutritious foods are there. So the children are not dying that they are able to survive. Because of that, the population became double, we can say, or there was real explosion of the population because of these modern facilities. Then births are usually measured using the birth rate, that is the number of live births per 1000 people. So when we calculate birth rate, we will say how many children are born out of 100 people. So for 100 people or 1000 people, how many children are born? That is birth rate. So if 10 children are born means, then we will say birth rate is 10. If 5 children are born for 1000 people, then we will say this is average. Okay, all the 1000 people may not be getting baby, but among we will take average. Among this 1000 people, how many children are born, and so on. The same way death rate. Death rate is usually measured using the death rate, that is number of deaths per 1000 people. So 1000 people are living, and among them how many are dying in a year? That will be death rate. If 10 people are dying means we will say death rate is 10. If 5 people are dying means we will say death rate is 5. That is also average. Same as birth and death. Both rates are calculated among 1000 people. Then migration is the movement of people in and out of an area. So another thing that affects the population is migration. So one we said birth rate, then death rate, then migration. Migration. These are the three things that is affecting the population. What is migration? That is the movement of people from one area to another area. That is called migration. So births and deaths are natural causes of population change. So birth and death, they are the natural causes of population. So if more people are born, then population will increase. If less people are dying, then again population will increase. So the difference between the birth rate and the death rate of a country is called natural growth rate. So the difference between death rate and birth rate. So how many people are born and how many people are dead in a year. So that difference will be called natural growth rate. Then the population increase in the world is mainly due to rapid increase in natural growth. So the population in the world is increasing. It is because because natural growth rate. That means the birth rates are high and the death rates are low. That is the main reason why the population is increasing everywhere in the world. So we can see a chart is given there, very interesting way, like a balance, no? So if birth rates more than the death rate, then population will increase. And the birth rates and the death rates same means population will remain the same, will not increase or will not decrease. If the death rates are more than the birth rate, then population will decrease. So that is the factors that are affecting the population. Then migration is another way by which population size changes, and people may move within a country or between countries. So immigrants are people who leave a country, and immigrants are those who arrive in a country. So populations can be two types. Migration can be of two types. One is internal migration, another one is international migration. Internal migration means moving from within the country. For example, people of Arunachal Pradesh, one family, they take all their things and they go and make house in Delhi and live in Delhi. So that is internal migration. So there is no population change because they are still living in India. But if a person or a family from Arunachal take all their things and go and settle down in America, they become citizen of America, then that is external migration or international migration. Then the population is changing. In India, for example, in that family 5 members are there, they are going to America and settle there. So in India population 5 will be less, and in America 5 will be more. So population change or migration can change the population. For example, immigrants are people who leave the country. So if the people are leaving India to go to America, then for India it is immigrants. We will call them immigrants. They are leaving our country to settle in another country. Then immigrants are those who arrive in a country. And Americans, what will they call them? They will call them immigrants. So those who are leaving from India, we will call them immigrants. And when they reach in America, American people will call them immigrants. Understood? Immigrants and immigrants. So from which country they are going away, they will be called in that country immigrants, and in which country they are arriving, and there they will be called immigrants. So countries like the United States of America and Australia have gained in number by in-migration or immigration. That means many people are going and settling in Australia, America and so on. So immigrants are very high there. So their population is increasing not because of birth rate or death rate, but because of immigration or because of migration. Then Sudan is an example of a country that has experienced a loss of population numbers due to out-migration or immigration. For example, another country, Sudan, it is people are going away from there. They are going and settling in other countries. Many people have left Sudan to go and live in another country. So the population of Sudan is becoming less and less, not because of birth rate or death rate, but because of immigration. People are going away and settling there. Maybe because of the situation there, the social situation there, people don't feel comfortable to stay there. Therefore, they are looking for some other place. So, in the general trend of international migration is from the less developed nations to the more developed nations in search of better employment opportunities. Within countries, large number of people may move from the rural to urban areas in search of employment, education and health facilities. So, people are living in these countries. So, the general trend of international migration is from less developed nations to the more developed nations in search of better employment opportunities. So people leave from one country to another, migrate from one country to another with the intention of finding a better employment opportunities. So many people are going to Gulf countries from India because there is lot of job opportunities are there, the salary is very high, and so therefore they are leaving India to go there. Or many are settling in America because the living conditions are better in America, England, and so on. Then within countries, large number of people may move from rural to urban areas in search of employment, education, health facilities. So even within the country, the internal migration also for looking for better opportunity. For example, people in the village, they like to move to the town because in the town there is hospital facility, education facility, school, college, and so on. And also in the town there are many job opportunities are there. We can start shop, or we can start business, and so on. If you are staying in the village, there's only one opportunity, that is cultivation, farming, and so on. So many people leave from town to go to the big towns from village, or even people are leaving their country and going to other countries in order to find out job opportunity, and so on. Then rates of population growth. Next, let us see patterns of population change. Then the rates of population growth vary across the world, although the world's total population is rising rapidly. Not all countries are experiencing this growth. So, as a whole, we can say the population is increasing. But at the same time, we can say it is not applicable to all the countries. Some countries population is increasing very fast, but some of the countries the population growth is very low. It is not same everywhere. And some countries like Kenya have high population growth rates. So Kenya, there the population growth is very high. And they had both high birth rates and death rates. So earlier, in Kenya is a very poor country, and therefore a lot of people used to die. There's a high birth rate, at the same time death rate also very high, especially children, due to lack of nutritious food, due to lack of medical care, and so many children used to die there in Kenya. Now, with improving healthcare, death rates have fallen, but birth rates still remain high, leading to high growth rates. So now Kenya has improved a little bit, health facilities are available, food items are available, therefore the death rate has come down, but the birth rate is still high. So when the death rate is low and the birth rate is high, the population increases. So that is what is happening in Kenya. Then in other countries like United Kingdom, population growth is slowing because of both low death and low birth rates. So if you go to United States of America or UK, what happens there? The population growth is slowing down because both low death rate and low birth rate. So they both are equal and the population does not grow, it is remaining same. So there, because of the facilities and so, many people are not dying and the birth rate also is very low. Then how crowd, now let us see population composition. How population is composed. Population composition. How crowded a country is has little to do with its level of economic development. For example, both Bangladesh and Japan are very densely populated, but Japan is far more economically developed than Bangladesh. So we take the example of two countries which are very densely populated, very thickly populated. One is Japan, another one is Bangladesh. And we know the economic situation in both countries. Bangladesh is a very poor country, developing country, but Japan is a developed country, very rich country. So The density of population does not mean that that place is very economically very good or very rich. So for example, Japan is economically good as well as it is very densely populated, but Bangladesh is very economically very poor, but that place also is very densely populated. Then to understand the role of people as a resource, we need to know more about their qualities. People vary greatly in their age, sex, literacy level, health condition, occupation and income level. So in order to understand the people, so our topic is people as resources or human resources. So in order to understand a person, how much a person can be a resource, what we need to know? We need to know about what quality that people have got. A person without any quality cannot be a resource. He will be a very futile thing. So we need to know what are their qualities. For example, we can see how much, what is their age. Suppose in a country there are a lot of old people are there, very old. Old people means they cannot do much work. They are not physically strong. So if old people are too high, then they cannot be of much use. They cannot be a very good resource. And sex. So some places women are more, some places men are more. So it depends which one is more useful. So accordingly, then only they can be resource. For example, men, some countries consider men are more resourceful than women. Some countries consider they are both equal. Some countries consider women are more resourceful and so on. So maybe a mixture of both, equality of both may be required. And literacy level, then how much education do they have? That is another thing that can be considered in order to find out how much useful a person can be, how much resourceful a person can be. If a person is uneducated, then he is not of good resource. He will not be able to contribute much, he will not be able to think much, he will not have much quality and so on. Another thing is health. Suppose a person is sickly always, then he cannot do much work. He has to eat medicine all the time, he has to go to hospital all the time. So there will not be time for him to do any work. He will be a very poor resource for the country. Then occupation. What occupation is he doing? Is he a good worker? Is he working in the farm, or is he working in the factory, or is he working in the office? So what occupation he is doing, that also matters. Then another thing is the income level, how much income he is able to get. Whether he is a farmer, farmers also can make good income. Suppose if he is cultivating nicely, then he can sell at the end a lot of food grain and make profit. And those who are highly qualified, then they are working in the offices, they may be getting 1 lakh salary, 1.5 lakh salary, 2 lakh salary and so on. So depends on how much income do they have, how much salary they get and so on. Then it is essential to understand these characteristics of the people, and population composition refers to the structure of the population. So the structure of the population, that matters in order to find out how useful the people can be. So the composition of the population helps us to know how many are males or how many are females. So how will we know about the population composition? We will know how many males are there, how many females are there, or which age group they belong to. So whether they are young, or whether they are middle aged, or whether they are very old, or how educated they are they educated properly, or are they still uneducated, and what type of occupations they are employed, what work are they doing, are they farmers, or are they working in the factory, are they working in the office, or are they doing some other service, doctor, nurse, driver, all those things. Then what is their income level and health condition and so on, whether they are rich or not, income is high or not, whether they have good health or not, all these things matters. Then only we can really say this person is a really a resource. Otherwise, he will be considered as a poor resource. An interesting way of studying the population composition of a country is by studying the population composition of a country is by looking at the population pyramid, also called the age sex pyramid. So by looking at the pyramid that is given in our textbook, we can know how much is the population composition, what is their age, what is their sex, and what is their occupation. All that we will be able to know. So we shall wind up for today, and we will study the last part of this lesson in the next class, and there we will learn about different chart, different sex composition, population composition, and we will also see the population pyramid and so on. So thank you for listening. We'll meet you in the next day. Bye.